I'm Carmen. I've been dancing for over a decade, and today we're going to chat about making as much money as possible when you're on the floor. Not in rooms, not on stage, not even doing semi-private dances. Today we're just going to focus on as much money as possible coming straight off of working the floor at your club. Why is this so important? Because I think there's so much money left on the table. I think so many of us are taught from day one that it's like rooms are winning and everything else is losing. And I think that so many customers are comfortable and willing to spend on the floors, and sometimes they will spend more there than they would have in a room. Another reason can be just maybe you're just having the kind of day where you don't really want to have 4 hours of emotional intimacy with someone, or you don't want to be stuck in that room coming up with a bunch of different entertainment options for just one person. I know a lot of dancers that do really well by not going off of, the one guy consistent engagement way of working. And also there's clubs where there's just no VIPs, right? I've worked at clubs where it's just floor dances and have been able to be pretty successful using a lot of the tips I'm going to share today, even feeling like consistently making 4 figures a night, even though there was a cap on the price point for dances and dances were the only thing I could offer. So everything I'm going to share today are things that I've used and that I've tried and that I still use to this day, because there's still days where I'm like, you know what? Either they're not doing it or I'm not in the mood for it. And it's just so liberating to be able to use the floor as the place where you're making money instead of just getting frustrated if you're not selling a room in those first 1 to 2 hours of your shift. What I want to start with is called the 4 walls. That's all I wrote in my notes. And what I mean by that is I think a lot of people walk into the club and think there's something magical about VIP, there's something special about VIP, there's something that makes it unlike any other place in the club. And somehow the only way to make big numbers is by being in VIP. And I cannot encourage you to get rid of that mindset fast enough. I think it is such a disservice to yourself to walk in and limit how much you're making off of customers on the floor, or treat customers who want to spend time on the floor like they are not as likely to spend or not as good of a customer and miss out on opportunities. And I think once you get really comfortable working the floor, you're gonna see like, oh, I've been missing out on a lot of potential. But that takes definitely bringing in some skills, and it takes making some changes. Not huge changes, but just subtle changes in your phrasing, in your offers, and in how you're connecting with customers when you're on the floor. So that's what we're gonna get into pretty much for the rest of this video. I'm pulling up my notes because it's the end of a long work night, so I wanna make sure I don't miss anything. The second thing I'm gonna cover is thinking about what offers you have for customers. For example, your club is going to teach you that you're going to sell dances. It's going to teach you that you're going to sell rooms. Your club is probably not going to have you sit down and come up with creative ways to sell your time, because they're assuming that the 2 options are the room or the dance. However, you are an entertainer. You're there to entertain and connect with customers, and there's a ton of ways to connect and entertain. And I think where we can get stuck is we're only charging for the part of entertainment that is a dance or that is a room. What I would challenge you to try is think about what other offers you can make to customers and how you can price and package them without breaking the rules of your club or getting management upset. So, a couple of examples. Let's say your club doesn't have any massage girls, right? There's a bunch of guys coming in. They're used to going to other clubs where there are massage girls. Now they're at your club, and there's no local regulations against this, right? You're all good on the books. You're literally just walking around engaging with customers, and maybe you're giving them a little head scratch or a little shoulder scratch. Why not charge for that, right? Yes, it's not a dance, but it can be something customers enjoy a lot. So think of, what would it cost for me to do that for 15 minutes or for 3 songs? Or how could I describe this to customers in a persuasive way so they want to buy it and they want to buy it from me? Other examples might be drinking games, gambling games. It could be different party tricks. It could be bachelor dances. And you might be going, well, my club doesn't offer bachelor dances. That's the point. That's why I'm saying you have to think outside the box and get proactive. So for example, if you have 3 great work friends and y'all have 10 minutes, you can practice and come up with a bachelor special and price it accordingly, right? Okay, it's 200 to get the bachelor special. Y'all can dance for 1 or 2 songs. Everyone makes money. If you do a great big show, and guess what? Every other bachelor party in the room is gonna go, oh, I want that option, right? Is the club gonna tell you to do that? Is the club gonna think about doing that for you? Not necessarily, because their focus is understandably the dances and the room. So you as a dancer have the opportunity to really personalize, to really think of different options, to really use all the party tricks and little nuances that you bring into VIP rooms that make it such a nice experience, right? That hopefully we are doing. Hopefully we have some entertainment options we come up with for our rooms, and packaging those and pricing those on the floor, right? As long as there's no rule against it at your club, I think it's fair game. And honestly, the more you're making and the more you're connecting with these guys, the more likely they are to end up doing the room or the dance, which benefits the club. So that is the goal, but it's not our only goal. Our main goal should be to make money, right? So that's what we're going to focus on. Another way you can make more on the floor is to be thoughtful in how you are offering your floor dances, how you're offering your floor time. For example, if you walk up to a customer and they say, how much is a dance? And you say a dance is $25. Would you like a dance? And then they get a dance and it was $25. That is the end of the transaction, right? So you can show up, spend 5 to 10 minutes on this guy, and you're gonna walk with your $25. Now, let's say you walk up to that guy and he says, how much is a dance? Well, how does 100 for 10 minutes sound? Sounds great. All right, let's get started. It's gonna be the best 10 minutes of your night though. And if you really like it, you're gonna do another round, right? So now I'm not charging more per dance. I wanna be clear, right? If your club has limits on how much you can charge, or they have a very specific price you can charge, you're not breaking that rule, because it's still gonna be $25 a song. But instead of phrasing it like one song, you now are getting 4 songs under your belt and you're setting up your next sale, right? If you like it, then you're gonna get another round. Or if you like it, then you're gonna get a couple more for your friend. Or if you like it, you're gonna give me a really hot and heavy tip, just how I like it. All different ways to take that same offer for whatever, the $25 or $20 or $30 or $40 price point, whatever you're selling your floor dances for, and then getting customers to buy more right away off the top. On that same note, I think it's so important to work on your lap dances. If your dances look and feel like everyone else's dances in the club, what is going to make him buy from you and not someone else? Listen, I'm all for all of us making money. I am all for, everyone in the room having a fair shot. I'm not saying do anything that goes against club rules or that goes past your boundaries. I am saying sit down with someone you trust and like at your club, another dancer preferably, and film yourself giving a dance. And just notice what you're doing. And then start getting really attentive to how other dancers move. Notice what moves they're pulling. Notice what are attention getters, what showcases things you have, maybe strength, maybe flexibility, maybe eye contact, sensuality. Notice what rhythm they're moving. Are they moving super quickly, super slowly? Are they on top of customers, floor level, in the lap area? Are they sideways? Are they upside down? Like, I know this seems so granular, especially if you're like, well, Carmen, what I'm really trying to do is make big sales, but this is how you make big sales a lot of the time. This is how you can distinguish yourself. This is how you can basically advertise to everyone else at every other table that's gonna be watching that you're doing things a little bit differently, and that there's something about the way you're dancing or the way you're moving that's really captivating. And I remember when I started dancing, I literally did the same 4 moves on repeat the whole time, and I wondered why customers wouldn't get more dances or wouldn't want to go to rooms. And that was it for me, honestly. It made a huge difference in my earnings, and it makes upselling and it makes connecting with customers so much easier if you can differentiate yourself and the way you move. So the same way that on a stage set, you would have your own tricks and your own movements and you would practice that set, highly encourage you to bring that same energy to dances. Promise it will make your life easier, and especially if you're doing this package option stuff, you don't want to be doing the same 4 or 5 moves the entire time, because customers will get bored, you will get bored, and it will stop the flow of money, which is what we don't want. By the way, if you want me to teach you how I give lap dances and a lot of these different tricks for phrasing for lap dances, as well as movements and dealing with boundary issues and, evasive maneuvers with customers, check out our lap dance course. It's on our website at rags2riches.com. All right. Next thing to think about on the floor. I'm going to encourage you to wear the most important tool you can wear in the club. I will die on this hill. I probably post about it on social media once a month, and I always comment when people are like, oh, I don't know about it, I'm not sure. I will always just, because if you're not wearing a watch to the club, you cannot tell me that you are appreciating or caring for your time, period, end of sentence. I'm sorry. Clubs are designed to distract your customers. They have bad Wi-Fi for a reason. They have lights and music and all kinds of spectacle for a reason. They have multiple stages going for a reason. Club owners are smart. They figured out that if they can distract customers and keep them engaged, they might save 30, 40 extra minutes, 2, 4, 5, 6 extra hours, right? And that's wonderful because customers are having fun, but we as dancers cannot afford to be distracted at the club. So it is your responsibility to track your time. Not the DJs, not the managers, not the floor guys. It is your responsibility. And what you can do if you're wearing a watch consistently to the club is you can start holding yourself accountable for blocks of time. So let's say you go on the floor, you have a cocktail, you talk to 4 of your friends, you chill, you check your texts, then you walk up to one guy, then you go right back to where you were sitting for a second because, oh man, he said no and that was a bummer. Then you go to the next guy, you talk for 25 minutes, nothing happens, he doesn't buy. You're probably an hour and a half into your shift and you haven't made anything. And I see this happening a lot, and I really encourage you to just mind your time and treat your time as if it is very, very precious to you. Here's what I mean. If you are watching your time, you are probably not going to do things like stop after every interaction. You're probably not going to sit for 30 minutes before asking for something from a customer. You're probably not going to lose track of time as you're working the room and either work for 40 minutes and think it was 3 hours, or walk around for 3 hours doing nothing thinking, oh, it was just a couple of minutes. Like, you staying in control of your time makes your life easier. It will also make it easier to sell your time by the chunk. So if you're sitting with a customer and he's like, I love this is great, I am not gonna do a room. Great, how about you tip me $100 for every 15 minutes I'm here? Or how about you tip me $400 and I can sit here for the next hour? Or how would you like to tip me $2,500 for me to not leave and not have to think about anything for the rest of the night? Whatever price point, whatever structure works at your club with your club rules, regardless, you're gonna need some way to keep track of time and to keep that connection going with your customers and to make sure that you are not falling behind from your financial goals. So wear a watch, use that watch. I promise it will help you make a lot more money on the floor and feel a lot more confident when you're selling those, those little DIY package options we were talking about earlier. Now, if you're using everything I already went over in this video, there's one more thing I need you to do every single time. And this is a difference of 20, 30, 40, 50% of the income you can make on the floor. And it comes down to this. Every person you talk to, you need to ask for a tip. Hear what I'm saying. I didn't say every person that was great or easy or that you fell in love with. I said every person you talk to. I think it's so important to ask for a tip. Even the guys who don't get a dance, who were never gonna buy in the first place, will often tip you for sitting there, for engaging, for staying in a great mood. And now, what's critical is if someone says no, you can't, well, this is my job. You shouldn't be here if you can't afford it. Like, if you're doing that, don't ask for a tip. You're choosing violence every time a customer pushes back, probably not gonna get that tip right. But if you kept a great attitude, if you kept it positive, if you were charming and engaging, and then you go, oh, you know what? Well, if you're breaking my heart, you gotta pay the heartbreak tax and extend your garter. Or you say, well, I know you want me to leave. Why don't you put a couple dollars in my garter and make my day, right? Or, oh, I think that conversation deserved like a little 20 right here. And then, you can at least see what my perfect boobs look like, even if you're not gonna get that dance. you'll be surprised how many guys just agree. They're happy that you were there. They're happy that you didn't throw a fit when they didn't buy something, and they will tip you and you move along. And over the course of a night, a week, a month, that seriously adds up to a good amount of money. On top of that, the good customers, the guys that brought packages, that bought dances, that were feeling you, by God, ask for a tip. Like, they pay tips for every other interaction in the club, so they're already so warmed up on that. They're so used to that. And if you ask with some charm, ask with some wit, check out our Instagram. I definitely have a lot of videos on this and how to phrase tip asks. You are going to be surprised how much can add up just on the floor, just off of selling dances and packages, and all like your unique experiences that you're going to build, hopefully, after watching this video. Next thing we're gonna do, assuming you want to sell this, right? Assuming you are in the mood and you're feeling it, ask everybody for an upsell. Everybody, okay? That guy that said at the start, I don't want to ever go to VIP, don't ask me, ask him. The guy that said, I'm gonna be a waste of your time, ask him. The guy that said, I had a bad experience up there, I'll never go to VIP again, ask him. And ask him with 100% earnestness, confidence, a smile on your face, because you never know. I always say the person that walked into the club is not the same person that's there 20 minutes later, an hour later, 2 hours later. These guys are going through a bunch of different changes, right? They are unwinding from their day. This might be the first solo time they've gotten. They are now seeing a bunch of different videos and images and music that's literally all designed to get them excited and get them wanting to spend. They're watching other people spend money. They're watching dancers move around. Whatever he said in that first 5 minutes or that first interaction does not necessarily hold true, but you can't know that unless you are asking, and you're asking consistently, and you are asking often. The final tip in this video, I know it's gonna sound so basic, but promise it's important on those nights where you know you're gonna work the floor. Wear comfortable shoes. Whatever shoe is not going to make your feet hurt at the end of the night. This sounds so silly, but I promise you, if you're working 6, 7, 8 hours on the floor and you're trying to move, dance back to back to back, it's going to start hurting. It's going to start affecting your brain and your confidence and your patience. And you might be like, I'm over it. These men are the worst. I never want to be here again. And then you go to the locker room and put on like your comfortable boots, and all of a sudden you're like, oh no, actually I could dance for the next like 3 hours. So it sounds so silly, it sounds so small, but taking care of your body the same way you're taking care of your mind, right? Like making sure that you are eating good snacks, that you are full of energy, that you are hydrating, that your shoes are comfortable, that your outfit is comfortable. All of that at the end of a shift, it really does add up, right? And those little discomforts along the way can really start to roll into a big giant ball of discomfort that's just going to radiate off you. And you never want to feel like an energy vampire or like just that frustrated, like, you know, stank face dancer. But it can happen if you're not taking care of yourself. So make sure you're taking those consistent breaks, that you're hydrating, that you're taking good care of yourself, and that you're not putting too much pressure on yourself to do all of these at once. Because I know I threw a lot at you in this video, and I hope you use it, but make sure you are giving yourself some grace and some patience as you try this out, and let me know how it goes in the comments, please. I hope this video was useful. If you like this kind of content, if you think it's useful to think about this stuff, if you want to work on VIP stuff with me, make sure you come to 101 Lines. We're doing our summer session, and I'm so excited for it. We have live events, we have a 24/7 exclusive group chat. We have role play events where we practice dealing with objections or different customer scenarios, and you get a full online course with all kinds of different classes on everything from approaches to rapport to upselling to dealing with difficult customers to the all crucial following up with the great ones. So if you have any questions, hit me up, and I hope this video was useful. As always, don't forget to subscribe, like, etc., and make sure you drop in the comments a tip that you use to maximize what you're making on the floor.